Good morning. Thank you for joining us at Creative Living Fellowship. This is our pre service meditation. I would like you to take a deep breath in and let it all out. And another deep breath in and let it out. And relax into this place of being. Let's close our eyes and settle into the silence. Now let's bring ourselves back into our seat, back into our body, back into this present moment. Stretch, breathe in, open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me, and our service will begin in a few minutes. Namaste.
Good morning, and welcome to the Creative Living Fellowship online Sunday service. Please join us in our opening song, Use Me.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. All that I'm saying is, command my hands. What must they do? Command my life. It's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. And God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary. I'm the Senior Minister here at Creative Living Fellowship, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here. We are an independent religious science church, and we welcome all paths that lead to truth. Our deepest intention here is to be a community of love, care, and connection that opens hearts, expands consciousness, and transforms lives. And we do that through the principles and the practices of the science of mind. We have two practitioners who are holding high watch for us today. They are Carrie Sherman and the Reverend Dr. It's Carrie Sherman and Fran Peck, who is holding they're holding high watch for us today. And what that means is that they are sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation, just holding a space for the perfect unfolding of our time here today. So I thank both of them for their service here today. And as always, I'd like to give a shout out to our Sunday service team. Nicole Jordan is our director, and Deb Covington serves assisting with the AV. And on tech support today, we have Reverend Mary Jane Hyde. So I thank you all for your service here today. I certainly appreciate all of you, each of you. And I'd like to thank Reverend Dr. Jeanette Freeman, who served as our guest speaker last week. It was a wonderful time had by all last week with Reverend Jeanette Freeman. So we thank her very, very much. So let's take a deep breath together just for a moment. And Nicole's going to be bringing us the announcements. And following the announcements, there will be a brief gong wash. And after the gong wash, there'll be a few moments of silence. And then practitioner Peter Waring will bring us our reading and our evocation. But right now, here's Nicole with the announcements.
Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship. It's always my pleasure to be here with you on Sunday to bring you your announcements. Let's get started. Meditation is a great mindfulness practice that helps us to be present in the now. Why not join us for midday meditation throughout the week to start or support your meditation practice? Midday meditation is at noon, Monday through Friday. We also hold a 20-minute pre-service meditation on Sundays at 9:35 a.m. Join us for any of these meditations or all of them through our Facebook and YouTube live streams and in Zoom. And speaking of spiritual practices, join Reverend Jorge every Monday evening and dive deep into the heart of practicing science of mind principles. Say yes to this weekly invitation to apply Sunday messages and lessons to your day-to-day life. Using the practices of contemplation, prayer, and introspection, open up to see beyond your boundaries, self-interest, and transform your consciousness. You can participate in Monday practice with Reverend Jorge through our Facebook and YouTube live streams at 6:30 p.m. Get your community care and connection on with your CLF family and Reverend Sherry every Tuesday as she hosts a Zoom meeting at 6:30 p.m. This week, Reverend Sherry will be leading Conscious Conversation. And if you would like to suggest a conversation topic or activity, please send her an email to connect@creativelivingfellowship.com. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. The Ernest Holmes Book Study is reading the book, Can We Talk to God? This is a drop-in group. So if you are the type of person that only reads the end of the book, well, then this Saturday is your day to drop in and join facilitator Reverend Mary Jane Hyde for heartfelt discussion, as it is the last time they will be gathering for the year. Happy holidays. I love this time of year. Community Outreach Ministries Christmas Angel Program is underway for 2021. Community Outreach has set up an online program with Sign Up Genius to help you sign up to provide gifts for families needing some extra cheer this holiday season. This year, our gifts will go to the women and children of Sand Dollar Discovery House, some of our congregants, and foster children in our community. Please help make Christmas merry and bright for these families by signing up no later than December 16th. And gifts will need to be dropped off by December 19th. So sign up today and you will receive all the information you'll need to make Christmas brighter for those who need extra support this year. Our Christmas Eve service is on Friday this year at 6 p.m. Join us for a wondrous night filled with beautiful music, inspiring messages, and yes, we will have a candle lighting. For your participation, please have a candle ready to be lit during that portion of the service. And if you join us in Zoom, be camera ready so everyone watching on live stream can see your light shining. Then the following Friday, December 31st at 5 a.m., that's 5 in the morning, people, join our practitioners and ministers in Zoom as we pray with millions of others around the world and participate in the most comprehensive prayer activity and affirmation of peace, love, forgiveness, and understanding. Remember, you can use your smartphone to text to give and make your contributions to CLF. Simply text the amount you'd like to give to 602-610-1868. And if it's your first time donating by text, you'll be sent a link to set up your account. And after that, it's as easy as texting the amount you would like to tithe to 602-610-1868. Our Sunday service or our Sunday prayer room is available to you after service today. Get your prayer with a practitioner by heading on over to Zoom after service. Prayer room participants are transferred into a breakout room for a private session with one of our licensed practitioners. And I'm going to take a breath because my brain and my mouth are not on the same speed. After service, we have Sunday fellowship too. Join us in Zoom and hang out, discuss the service, what's on your mind or heart, and connect with your CLF family. If you're in Zoom with us now, then all you need to do is stay in this Zoom meeting. But if you're not, please join us at the end of service. You can find the links for all of our activities on our website under events, under our Facebook events, or in your weekly newsletter. And one final announcement that's just in, please, we want you to join us every Sunday, but especially join us next Sunday as we hold an installation for Reverend Jorge as he has been appointed our staff minister. All right, well, that is it officially for announcements. It is time to move on to our gong wash, followed by a moment of silence.
Good morning. Today's reading is from the Science of Mind 365 by Ernest Holmes. I am resolved to see the good in everyone and in every event. We start with a quote from 2 Corinthians. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion has light with darkness? Light can have no union with darkness. Evil has no affinity with good. If good is the great reality, while evil is the great negation or denial of reality, then it follows that we should see good in everything and recognize the apparent evil merely as a theoretical opposite of good. There is not God and something else. The divine spirit inhabits eternity, overshadows everything, including human events, dwells within our own soul, and is released through our own act. To see good as evil is to becloud our vision, to obstruct the pathway of our progress, and to cast a shadow across the sun of righteousness. This spiritual sun was the guiding light that led the Magi of old to the place where the little baby lay, that is, to the place of good in our soul, to the presence of God at the center of every person's being. The humility of the manger is the commonplace in every person's life. It is here in the commonplace that we must find the good, and finding it here, we shall also discover that the larger issues of our experience are overshadowed by the same good, and that we have discovered in the commonplace. I am resolved today to see the good in everyone and in every event. I will call upon the good and will refuse to accept that anything other than good can come into my experience. In this way, I will be praying to the good through meditating upon it. So let's take this into prayerful contemplation. There is a common good, a common spirit, a spiritual sun at the center of my being, at the center of my soul. And this good is the good of life. It is the power of life, the energy of life. And it is not just my physical life, but it is my conscious life. I am one with this good, conscious life force that resides within me, within my soul. I am this God force made manifest. And because I am this, I am imbued with the power of God, the God to set intention and to call into my experience that which I desire. So I speak my word now. I speak my word for our congregation, for the good in all, and for the good for all. And I speak my word for those involved with our service today, our tech team, and especially with Reverend Sherry, with her message today. I know that the grace of God is flowing through her and through all right now as we produce this service for the good of our community and beyond. I am grateful for that. And I bless all speakers of truth, all teachers, and I bless our leaders, that the grace of God, as it is already flowing to them, flows through them in their actions and words. That the grace of God is made manifest in our nation and in our world right now. And I recognize this as already done in the mind of God, that God already has this. And I release these words and I let them go with the confidence and the trust that these words and these ideas and these feelings are made manifest right now for the good of all. Thank you, God. And so it is. Now, please join me in welcoming our musical inspiration today, Craig Haley.
Hi, CLF. This is your friend Craig Haley. Happy holidays. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I'm so honored always whenever I get to be with you. So when I thought about today's topic, I thought about wonder and wonderful. And, what's more wondrous to me, is that we're like beams of light. We're light beams. This song is called Light of the World. Light of the world. Light of the world. Light of the world, illumine me. Light of the world, light of the world, light of the world, illumine me. Light of the world, won't you fill me up today? My sadness fades from view. I wipe my fears away. Light of the world, I release my yesterdays. Repair my broken heart, and I revel in this day. Light of the world, light of the world, light of the world, illumine me. Light of the world, light of the world, light of the world, illumine me. Light of the world, expand my love today. Step inside my soul, let me hold it in its sway. Light of the world, peace has come today. For I know I am a part of a bigger, brighter day. I used to think that the world was black and white. Now I know the full and sacred spectrum of light, 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 light of the world. I'm blessed within this day. All my waking dreams come true in a most amazing way. It's the light of the world, forever I will stay in your loving grasp. I'm fearless in the fray. I used to think that the world was black and white. Now I know the full and sacred spectrum of the light, the light, light of the world, light of the world, light of the world, illumine me. Light of the world, light of the world, light of the world, illumine me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, favorite friend, Craig Haley. It is so great to have you here with us today. And Craig will be back with us during the offering time. So let's just take a deep breath as we just move into this part of our service here this morning. And here's my usual monthly statement. Can you believe it's December already? Another month has passed, and we are continuing to move forward to the end of this year. I can't believe that another month has passed. Time seems to be flying. I heard a term yesterday that I've not heard before, that we've all become zombies. And I think that because we spend so much time on Zoom, that time just passes and we aren't aware that it's passing as quickly as it is because we are zombies by now. So that's a term that I like. But at any rate, this is December. We are approaching the end of this year, and how exciting is that? That we are continuing to move forward. We are continuing to evolve. And so the theme for the month of December is celebration time. It's celebration time. I love that. I love that idea. I love that thought. I love that feeling of celebration. It's celebration time. So it's a time for us to celebrate throughout this month. And what we are celebrating during the month of December always is the birth of the Christ consciousness, the birth of the Christ consciousness in each one of us. And that Christ consciousness is the consciousness of unconditional love, the unconditional love that we learn to practice every day of our lives, in every aspect of our lives. And that Christ consciousness, of course, was personified in the man Jesus, whose birthday is celebrated during this time of year. And so this will be our time of celebration throughout this month. And we'll end throughout our lives, but let's just see how it unfolds for each of us throughout this month and in our lives as we go through continuous change and continuous new things and finding those things that we can celebrate. And so my topic today is how wonderful. And in thinking about celebration, you think about how wonderful is that? There's something to celebrate. And life is always available for us to celebrate. Life is always something for us to celebrate, not something for us to dread, but something for us to celebrate. And so I'm inviting you to move into that not only the celebratory energy, but the energy of the wonderfulness of life, the wonderfulness of everything. And so just looking at how wonderful and thinking about the first thing that I think about when in talking about how wonderful and in talking with you today is how wonderful it is that we have these of the science of mind. How wonderful it is that we have the teachings, not so much feel-good teachings as some people call them sometimes. They're not feel-good teachings. They're life teachings for life, for living our lives, teachings for how to live successfully and how to move through life successfully. And we have these teachings that give us a step-by-step process that we do and that we go through to change our consciousness so that we can live in the allness and the fullness of life that we were created to live. And so I just invite you to walk through this month and through this time and through your life with that energy and that consciousness of how wonderful it is. How wonderful it is that I have this step-by-step process. How wonderful it is that I know the truth of my being. How wonderful it is that I know that God is my source. How wonderful it is that I know that God is all there is. How wonderful it is that I know that there's only one life and one power and one presence and one mind and one breath. How wonderful it is that I know that we are all connected, that we are all a part of that one, that there's nothing that can separate us from that one, and that one is always guiding us and is always directing us and is always showing us the way. And so just to walk through life knowing that, walk through our lives with that in mind, walk through our lives just keeping that where we are always, it keeps us in a place of being God-inspired and living God-inspired lives rather than fear-induced lives. When we can walk through life knowing that God is always right where we are, that there's always that power and that presence that is with us, that is always guiding us, that is always directing us, that is always protecting us, that is always showing us the way, that is always available to us, that is always available to us, then our lives are God-inspired. Our lives are God-inspired, and we can let go of the fear. We can let go of the doubt. We can let go of those things that would hold us back. We can let go of those things that would block. We can let go of those things that would block. Ernest Holmes says how wonderful it is that we can sit in the quietness of our own being and direct a power greater than we are. Direct a power greater than we are to help us and others. How wonderful it is that we can sit in the quietness of our own being and direct a power greater than we are. We can direct a power greater than we are through our thoughts, through our words. We can direct a power greater than we are to help us and to help someone else. How wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? How powerful is that? But we can only do that when we are aware of our connection to that one. We can only do that when we are aware of our connection to source. We can only do that when we are aware that this power is available to us, that this power is available to us, that it is never, we're never separate from it, that it's always right where we are. And that's when we get a chance to really direct that power that is greater than we are. We get a chance to direct it when we are in that place of awareness, because our purpose for being here is to bear witness to that power. It's to bear witness to God. That's our purpose for being here, to bear witness to God, to bear witness to the qualities of God, to bear witness to the opulence of God, to bear witness to the love of God, to bear witness to the peace of God, to bear witness to all the goodness of God, to all the qualities of God. That's our purpose for being here, to bear witness. And we can bear witness when we are constantly in that place of awareness, when we are constantly in that place of being, in that place of at one-ment with God, in that place of being consciously aware. And so just these ideas alone make me think about how wonderful life is, how wonderful these teachings are, how wonderful it is that we have the science of mind principles that we have, and how wonderful it is when we really use them. When we really use them, it's one thing to have them. It's another thing to use them. It's another thing to live them. And that's what we are talking about every week when we're here. That's what we're talking about every day, learning to use the principles every day. It's one thing to say we have them. It's one thing to learn them. It's another thing altogether to use them. And that's what we're being called to do. And we're being called up each and every moment of each and every day to use the principles that we know. And so what I'm going to ask you to do this week is to start out, number one, with stand in the truth that you know. Stand in the truth that you know. The truth principles that we're being taught, the truth principles that we talk about all the time, stand in the truth that you know. When anything unexpected comes up, when anything scary comes up, when anything that can throw us off center comes up, stand in the truth that you know. The truth that we know is God is my source. God is my source. God is our source. God is our only source. God is our only source. And Holmes says, don't confuse the source with the channel. God is the only source. Sometimes we think that the channels, our job may be a channel for good. Sometimes we think a relationship is a channel for good. Sometimes we think that a doctor is a channel for good. Sometimes it's the source of our good. Sometimes we think that the job or relationship or doctor or whatever is the source of our good. It is not. God is the source of our good. And God uses all kinds of channels to reveal itself, to come through, to bring the good to us that is already ours. And so the important thing for us to do is to stand in the truth that we know. And the truth is that God is our source, that no matter what comes up, no matter what circumstances come up, no matter how unexpected things may be, God is our source. And God knows exactly how to work out a situation. God knows exactly what to do. God knows exactly what we need. God knows exactly how to show up, when to show up, where to show up. All we need to do is take a deep breath and be open and allowing God to show up, trusting, allowing God to be God, standing in the truth that we know, no matter what the circumstances may be, no matter how scary the situation may be, no matter how dark it may seem. And that's not to say that we don't acknowledge the darkness, that we don't acknowledge that there's darkness, but we know that in the midst of that darkness is light. We know that in the midst of this issue is God. We know that whatever the circumstances, whatever the events, whatever the situations may be, whatever name we may give it, that God is in the midst of it. God is in the midst of it. And that is ours to know and to remember always, always, and to be available to allow that allness and that fullness of God to just work in a situation, to be itself, because it's not doing any work, it's just being itself. God is just being the perfection that it is. We think God is working, but God's just being God. And so all we need to do is let God be God. Let God be the source and remember the truth that we know. You know, Holmes says to desert the truth in our hour of need is to prove we don't know the truth. So when we need it, when we need these principles, that's the time to practice them, not when we're sitting around and everything's going fine and we're just spouting off principles. We're just spouting off the things that we've learned. The time to prove that we know them is when we need them. That's how you stand in the truth that you know. Use the principles that you know, that you've learned, that you are living during your livingness. It's one thing to sit on the couch and watch TV and spout off science of mind principles. This is another thing to use them when the rubber hits the road and when we really need to use them. So I'm inviting you, stand in the truth that you know, prove that you know the truth. And it's not something that we, put on and take off like a different shirt or a different blouse or a different pair of slacks or whatever. We wear these truth principles all the time. We're never, ever without them. They're always available to us and we practice them all the time. And when I say practice, I mean we're living them all the time in all circumstances, in all situations, in all events, no matter what we may name them. Because God does not change. God is the changeless. Those circumstances that come up in our lives, those situations that come up in our lives, they're variables. They're variables. Things are always changing. They're always variables. There's always some kind of situation. There's always some kind of circumstance that we can get caught up in. The thing for us to do is to stay anchored in what we know to be the truth, that God is changeless. God is our source and God is changeless. And that is a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. That is so how wonderful it is to have that anchor that we can rely on. And so I'm inviting us, stand in the truth that you know and hang on to that anchor that is anchoring us always, no matter what. God is our source. That is the truth that we know. How wonderful it is to know this and how wonderful it is to live this truth, to bear witness to this truth. And bearing witness means to show that you know, to confirm it, to show that you know this truth. And so that's what I'm inviting us to do. That's what I'm inviting us to do this time. And so the second thing I'd like you to do is to watch for the wonderful activity of God everywhere. Watch for the wonderful activity of God everywhere. There's wonderful activity of God everywhere, and just watch for it. That's all we need to do is just watch for it and align ourselves with it. Holmes says that if we can align ourselves with, if we can align our lives with love and forget hate, with life and forget death, with joy and forget misery, with abundance and forget limitation, how wonderful life would be. If we can align ourselves with those qualities of God, we can align our lives with the qualities of God. If we can align our lives with the qualities of God, then how wonderful things would be. And we have the power to do this. We have the power to do this. Just watching for the wonderful activities so that we can participate in them. And we participate in them by aligning ourselves with them. And so Holmes also says that we should that nothing is real unless we make it real. Nothing is real unless we make it real. Nothing can touch us unless we allow it to touch us. Nothing is real unless we make it real. Nothing can touch us unless we allow it to touch us. And he says, refuse to have hurt feelings. Refuse to accept the condemnation of someone else. And begin to believe that you are in your own mentality, believe that you are this wonderful being. You are this wonderful being that was created by God. And that this is not conceit, this is the truth. That we are these wonderful beings that were created by God. And so we can refuse to get caught up in the stuff out there. We can refuse to have our feelings hurt. We can refuse to accept the condemnation of anyone. We can just focus in our own mentality on the wonderful beings that we are, on the wonderful beings that we are, not from a place of conceit, but from a place of truth, because we all are wonderful beings. We all are wonderful beings. And the thing for us to do is to begin to recognize how wonderful we are. Begin to recognize how wonderful we are. Because, you know, when we think about how wonderful God is, then if we are made in the image and likeness and out of God itself, if we're made of God's stuff, then we have to be wonderful beings. We have to be wonderful beings. There's no other way. We have to be wonderful beings. And so being in a place of accepting that for ourselves, being in the place of knowing this truth about ourselves, being in the place of standing in this awareness of this truth is a wonderful thing for us to do. It's a wonderful thing, a wonderful way for us to live. What we have to do is to guard our attention, be guardians of our own attention. Where's our attention? You know, the energy flows where attention goes. So we have to guard our attention always, because there's always some kind of distraction, something to take our minds off the truth, something to take our minds off and our feet off the path, so if you will, something that can keep us distracted. There's always something to distract us. So we have to be fierce guardians of our attention, fierce guardians of our attention. We have to be fierce guardians of our attention because, as I said, there's so many distractions, so many opportunities for us to just go off into la la land, or to go off into never never land, or to go off into one of those lands that we don't want to get caught up in. And there's always some person or some situation or some circumstance or something that can pull us off. But be fierce guardians of our attention. And just know that we're always being guided, we're always being directed, we're always being shown the way. And that there's always wonderful activity of God that is going on everywhere around us. God is just God being God. It's always happening around us. And so let our focus always come back to center. Let our focus always come back to the truth. Let our focus always come back to that wonderful activity, so that we can see, as the reading says, we can look for the good in everything, in every situation, every circumstance, every event. We can see the goodness of God everywhere, the wonderful activity of God everywhere. And then finally, I'd like to invite you to proclaim your own wonderfulness each and every day. Proclaim your own wonderfulness each and every day. Proclaim your own wonderfulness each and every day. You know, back at the beginning of the year when we were talking about expectancy, I'd given you an affirmation about that goes, something wonderful is happening in my life right now. I know it, I sense it, I feel it, and I thank God for it. Something wonderful is happening in my life right now. I know it, I sense it, I feel it. I thank God for it. I hope that you've been using that throughout the year. I hope that you use that frequently. I hope you use it every day. Something wonderful is happening in my life right now. I know it, I sense it, I feel it, and I thank God for it. And you know, that's a wonderful affirmation to continue to use. And you know, another wonderful affirmation that I encourage you to use, and when I became involved in religious science over 45 years ago, it was common for, and Ernest Holmes mentions this also in the Science of Mind textbook, it was common for teachers to have students put their hands on their chest and say, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. And just proclaim that over and over, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. And take a breath and then say again, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. And you know what? This is not from a place of conceit. This was a place this is from a place of truth, because we are wonderful. And so the thinking was in that teaching was when we can proclaim over and over, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me, then we start to act as if we are wonderful. We start to act as if, and we become that. We become those wonderful beings that we were created to be. And so this is what I'm inviting you to do. Proclaim your wonderfulness throughout each day. Start your day off when you open your eyes after you say, thank you, God. When you open your eyes, just say, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. And just really, not just spouting off words, but really feel that. Really feel that, because that's where the creation is. Really feel that you are wonderful. Feel your own wonderfulness. And then after you say that 3 times, then you can say, how wonderful, how wonderful, how wonderful life is, how wonderful God is, God and life being the same, how wonderful I am, how wonderful I am, because I am made in the image and likeness and out of God itself. God is wonderful. I have to be wonderful. I have to be wonderful. And then you can close that off with wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. And you can end your day with that also. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful me. And so when we do that, we walk through our lives in the consciousness of how wonderful, how wonderful. And as I said, yes, we acknowledge other things that happen, other things that appear dark. But then when we walk through life in the consciousness of how wonderful, then we are the light in the darkness. We are bringing light into the darkness. We're bringing light into situations that don't feel good, that don't appear good. We're bringing the light. We are the light. We are the light, and we bring our light into that darkness, just with the notion of how wonderful, how wonderful, how wonderful life is, how wonderful God is, how wonderful I am, how wonderful we are. And when we start to do that, we begin to see the world that way. And that's how change happens. That's how change happens. And that's how we get a chance to live this wonderful life. We get a chance to live this wonderful life just by being wonderful beings. And this is what I'm inviting you to do. Be that wonderful being that you already are, that you already are, that you were created to be. So let's take a breath now as we just move into prayer at this time. Just knowing and sensing and feeling God's presence right here, this wonderful presence of God, right here, right now, right where we are. Knowing that this presence is the only presence, this power is the only power, this love is the only love, this light is the only light, this breath is the only breath. This onlyness is God. This onlyness is my life. This onlyness is the life of each of us here this day. This onlyness is the life of each of us here this day. And so just knowing this truth, how wonderful it is to know this truth. And just knowing this truth, I speak the word for each of us this day. Just speaking a word of wholeness. Just knowing that the allness and the fullness of God is right where we are always, guiding us, directing us, healing us in our body temples, healing us in our bodies of affairs, healing us in every aspect of our lives that appear to be out of sorts, out of alignment. And that this healing brings us into alignment with the all that is. It brings us into alignment with all that is, so that all doubt, all fear, anything that is unlike this power and this presence that is God, just falls away. And in its place is love and peace and harmony and forgiveness and compassion and balance and joy and peace of mind. There's healing of the broken hearts. There's abundance. There's prosperity. There's all needs being met in each and every moment of each and every day. God showing up as whatever it is we need. In whatever situation or circumstance we need it. God is in the midst of everything. And so this word is being spoken for anyone needing a prayer this day. Anyone needing a prayer this day. I know that God is right where each person is. God is in the midst of every situation. God is in the midst of every circumstance. God is in the midst of everything. And healing is happening everywhere. And so I just pause momentarily now so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently or loud, and you may speak their names now. And so for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each of them is, blessing and keeping them. That God is the strength. God is the courage. God is the power. God is everything that is necessary for the perfect unfolding of each and every life. This word goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day, knowing that God is in the midst of everything, everywhere. I just give great, great thanks for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to speak the word for each of us this day. I give great, great thanks for the wonderful manifestation of the word that's being spoken here this day. I know indeed that all is well, for I know indeed that all is God. How wonderful is that? Thank you, God. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Sherry, for those beautiful words today. Very moving. This is the time we participate in the divine law of giving and receiving by giving of our tithes and offerings. CLF is a tithing church, and we invite you to join us in this sacred practice by tithing here at CLF. Click on the donate link on our website or in the comments in Zoom or on Facebook. You can also use your smartphone to text to give. However you choose to give, we deeply appreciate your continued financial support. Let us now repeat our offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God, and so it is. And now let's welcome back Craig Haley with our offering song.
I feel the presence of love in this place. Feel the joy and the wizardry. Feel happy. I feel great 'cause I feel love in this place. I feel the presence of peace in this space. I feel the warmth and the serenity. I feel joyful 'cause I feel so safe, 'cause I feel peace in this place. Said of all the places you know that we could choose to be, we choose to be here together on this day. All the wonders you know that we have heard, we heard them together, you and me. I feel the presence of God in this space. Feel the power and the majesty. I feel God's love, I feel God's grace, 'cause I feel love in this place. Said of all the places that we could choose to be, we choose to be here together today. And all the wonders you know that we heard today from Reverend Sherry on this wonderful day. I feel the presence of God in this place. I feel God's magic and the ecstasy. I feel the love, I feel God's grace, 'cause I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel God in this place, in this place, in this place, in this place. Blessings, my friends.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Craig Haiti. I love that song. We feel the presence of God in this place also. We know the presence of God is in this place also. And thank you so much for being with us this week. Let's take a breath together. I just have a couple of announcements to make, closing announcements. To remind you that fellowship happens immediately after service today. So drop in for fellowship time with our community for fellowship. If you're in Zoom, just stay where you are for the fellowship time. The Zoom prayer room is open immediately after service. Practitioners are available there to pray with you in private breakout rooms. So feel free to drop in to the Zoom prayer room to have prayer with a practitioner, or you can call a practitioner, an on-call practitioner. Their contact information is in the comments section of Facebook and of the chat, Zoom chat. And also you can email a practitioner, prayer@creativelivingfellowship.com. The point is that practitioners are available to pray with you always. So you don't have to walk around with a heavy heart. Or if you want to share some moments of gratitude with them, you can, moments of demonstration, you can do that also. But just see a practitioner, that they're available to serve. Monday evening practice happens Monday evening with Reverend Jorge. And that's from 6:30 to 7. I invite you always to make that a part of your spiritual practice. It's a wonderful, wonderful practice time on Monday evenings from 6:30 to 7. The Ernest Holmes book study is ending this week, coming up this Saturday from 10 to 12. If you would still like to drop into it, you can do that. The book that we are finishing up is Can We Talk to God? And we welcome you always to the book study, because it's always available to us. And of course, the treatment for supply, don't forget about that. That is our community prayer. Please use it. It works. Use it daily, twice a day, because it really does work. The treatment for supplies on page 262 in the Science of Mind textbook. And don't forget to connect with each other. It is so important that we connect with each other. It is so important that we continue to stay connected as a community, because we are a community. And so we send those text messages and those phone calls and those emails, or however it is we connect, just to say, I miss you, I love you, I'm thinking of you, and just continue to know that we are all one, that we are unified, and to remind each other of that. And so I just say to you, I love you, I miss you. I can't wait to see you guys, and that's going to be sooner than later. And we'll keep you posted. Meanwhile, take good care of yourselves. Be safe. God bless. Here's our closing song.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm all